Think you know esports? Think again. Here, the virtual hits as hard as the asphalt. This is racing redefined. Every battle, every red line, every risk, real. Those tears? That sweat? The milliseconds that put you on the podium? You can't fake it. Because any real racer can tell you it's more than just going round and round. This is about clutching victory from the jaws of defeat, pushing beyond what you thought possible. With the largest sim racing prize on the line, if you're race-born enough, you got a real shot at glory. Because this is iRacing, and it's as real as it gets. Watch it all live on Twitch.
Under the watchful eye of Mount Fuji, we are here at the Fuji Speedway in Japan for this, the penultimate week of Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars. Pleasure to have you all along with us. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankipati bringing you all of the action here today. Arjuna, our All-Stars are in qualifying and we're going to have some fun here today, aren't we?
I think so. I think it's going to be quite interesting. A track originally earmarked for some high-speed banked oval racing, but instead it's developed into one of road racing's finest, and that 1.4 kilometer blast down that main straightaway is what we're going to be talking about as we work our way through the course of today's evening.
Absolutely. It's a track of different styles, different contrasts throughout it, as you say. 1.4 kilometer straight. We've got the high-speed, long radius corners and some slow stuff as well. It's going to be absolutely magic. But as you can see, the drivers, as we look at the graphic for the settings for today, they're right in the open qualifying. 10 minutes of qualifying for them to set themselves a lap time. Once that clock strikes 0, that is it. That's all the time they have left. We've then got a sprint race based on the grid set from this qualifying. Then after we get the results of the sprint race after 15 minutes, we invert everybody in this field and we go for a blast for 20 minutes around this magnificent venue with that inverted grid. And, well, Casey Kerwin is putting in a really good show in qualifying at the moment at the top. But, well, Arjuna, this is where we've been and this is what we've got left.
It's been a wild ride as we bounced across 3 different Porsche race cars and 3 very different race cars. Last 2 rounds have seen the drivers stripped of the driver aids in the Porsche Cup car as we've headed to Sachsenring and to Thruxton, but now with the Porsche 911 GT3R, at least some ABS and some traction control for them to enjoy. Next week, when we head to the Circuit de la Sarthe for our title showdown, Paul, we break out the Porsche 963 for the first time since February the 1st. A lot more downforce for these drivers to enjoy and a hybrid to spool them down the Mulsanne Straight. But we're here at Fuji, like you said, under the watchful eye of Mount Fuji as well. And what an intricate track this is. The main straight is of course where drivers will be thinking about their main passing opportunities, but Paul, out of turn 1, sweeping through 3, out through 100R, there's the potential for side-by-side battles through the entirety of the lap here. Almost 3 odd miles, 16 turns for these drivers to enjoy.
Yeah, certainly these drivers will be enjoying this one, a true challenge for us here today, and we're definitely going to be having some great fun for you all joining us on this one. We have got a guest driver behind the wheel of the Porsche factory car, and that is Ayinchan Guvan, who had a good time out last time here, and well, he's come back for another run at it, but he's currently, as I say, slower than Casey Kerwin. So we're getting ourselves set for this first All-Stars race. Don't forget, if you do want information about the PESC All-Stars as well as the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, head on over to iRacing.com/PESC. And there is Ayinchan Guvan once again, the focus on his face really showing through.
Well, qualifying just come to an end, and quite happy to say Iron Guven, after dominating last week, is not on top. Instead, it's Casey Kerwin who sits atop the qualifying charts and should get a exciting run down to turn 1 as we get ready to rumble for the sprint race.
Let's take you through your starting grid here then for this race. It's Casey Kerwin who finds himself qualifying on pole position, front row of the grid, shared with our Porsche Works driver Iron Guven, of course former Porsche Tiger Esports Supercup contender. Then Tyson Meyer Quirk is alongside Sam Soyd with Pulpo Lopez and Pablo Vicente, rounding out row number 3. The fourth row of the grid for Kenny 500 and Stradi, with Emery and Grizzle on row number 5. Good to see Emery back. Love 46 and Tony Canan sharing the 6th row of the grid. And then all on their own. Row number 7, it's Bell's row, it's Storm Molina to finish off our 13-car grid. It's going to be quite the challenge for the drivers. Standing start in a GT3 machinery. These cars are not used to doing standing starts, are they, Arjuna?
No, they're definitely not designed for this, but think about off pit lane. They do have to have some ability to get off and away, so it's not impossible. It's just not the easiest thing in the world to do. The thing you want to try and avoid as well is bogging down in the traction control. That will really cost you. It's a fairly lengthy run down to the opening braking zone, and Paul, it's a downhill right-hander. It's a really interesting opening corner. These drivers get to navigate for the first time of asking.
Absolutely. So, drivers patiently waiting. We've got about 30 seconds. I think we're waiting for potentially Quirk on the grid. Yeah, there you see the gap in the grid as well, behind your pole sitter of Casey Kerwin. Casey, he's looking to secure himself a championship here in the All-Stars. And don't forget, bonus point as well for fastest lap in the race. You'll see that purple time show up in the timing tower. Here we go then. Drivers, look towards the starter's gantry for this, the penultimate sprint race. Engine reds rise! And we are underway. Good start by Casey Kerwin from the front, but Iron Guven's going to try and challenge him down towards Daichi for the first time, but Kerwin has got just enough ahead as they head into turn number 1. Tight hairpin, as we said, downhill braking, a little bit of contact mid-pack, but they're all staying together 2 by 2, further in your pack there, Arjuna.
It was impressive run around the outside from Casey Kerwin, just pinching Guven, who did try to send it, but able to hold the 120 at bay, is now through the long right-hander. What for some sends towards the hairpin here, because if you're on cold tires and caught napping, you can get to the inside of some of your other competitors. No one feeling aggressive at the front of the field. All the way at the back where finally we see a move. It's Grizzle in the fight with Pablo Vicente.
Yeah, Vicente's not actually had a good start to this race. He started, don't forget, in 6th place, down to 11th here. That's going to be a tall order to try and go around the outside, but that gives you the inside for the next part of the chicane. Good move then from the Pulpo Lopez, getting up ahead of Sam Soyd. Fantastic. Round the outside of the first part of the chicane. That gives you the inside for the second part of the chicane.
You can make moves everywhere around this lap. It is possible, even in these dry conditions that they're dealing with right now. Out of the final corner, important to get a good run here because, of course, 1.4 kilometers. Any momentum you shed on exit, you're going to feel the pain into the braking zone down at the end of this long straightaway. And in the draft, they slink back and forth to the line for the first time. It's 4/10 between first and second.
Yeah, who's going to feel the wrath as they head on down to turn number 1? Look at that. The thing is, because they've all got the same setup, because they've all got a set setup, everybody's got the same setup here, they're kind of hitting that limit, aren't they? Even in the slipstream, they're hitting that limit down that long straight, and it's just not giving them the same amount of power and closing up ability that you would normally see of a straight that long.
That's the technical term for it, closing up ability.
Yes.
I think what we're seeing is also, it's that compromise on that fixed setup. You need to have speed in the straight line, but through the slow speed and the medium speed, like Paul mentioned earlier on, this track's got a little bit of everything. So mechanical grip, balancing that, of course, with your aero package as well. In this Porsche 911, you have plenty of setup options in the GT3R. One thing that they don't really have too many options around, even when you can dial the setup in, Paul, is gear ratio. So I'm thinking at a track like this, you might be probably running on either the standard or the long set, or get a better sense when they run down to the straight once again for the second time by.
Emily Jones then down there in Victoria, Melbourne, and working hard behind the wheel, trying to go through this technical section. Behind her, there you see Stradi, just not quite close enough to make any moves as going onto this front straightaway. Once again we go. Kerwin still in the lead ahead of Gouvan. 0.4 of a second between the two of them. It's pretty much as they were at the start of the last lap. Pulpa Lopez with the fastest lap of the race. There you see it in the purple there. His number highlighted purple on the timing tower. That lets you know that he's in for the bonus point for fastest lap of this race, as Grizzle pulling down the order to 12th now.
He's trying to hold on, but TK, great to see TK back with us in the Porsche All-Stars, holds on to 11. Have seen a couple of drivers yet to set a valid lap time as well, which means track limits is probably a concern for some of them. Paul, I was riding on with some of the drivers heading into turn number 1, and I didn't hear too many of them bouncing off the limiter. Let's hear from David Samsoid, though, who can tell us more about the setup they're all dealing with. How's the Porsche 911 GT3R feeling right now?
Feels great, mate. I haven't made a mistake yet or overheated the tyres, so ask me again in about 10 minutes.
The technical track as well, isn't it, here, Fuji? So you talk about not making a mistake. Talk to us about dirty air as well, because Pulpa Lopez starting to pull away slightly. So you've got some draft, but also some clean air in front of you right now.
Yeah, I think the dirty air weighs out the draft, especially with the skill level in front. I'm underdriving the fronts just a little bit, just to give me a shot at not making too many mistakes at the end, because yeah, it's quite a technical track. If you slide around, then it just exponentially gets harder and harder, especially in that last sector.
We always know you enjoy your sim racing, but you're breathing hard right now. Is this stressful?
Yeah, the heart rate is higher than planned. I need this. I need to beat Kenny and Stradi today, so I'm just focusing forward and trying to get the best I can for once, rather than a compilation of little mistakes this season.
Hey, if anyone thought that the Porsche All-Stars didn't have a championship that everyone was thinking about, there's your answer. Answer the question as well, because I've been trying to figure it out. How easy is it to try and make the move into turn 1? Are you bouncing off the gear limiter? Is there a potential to make the pass?
You're not bouncing, but the draft's just not enough. If the guy in front of you is same speed as you, you have to really make a mistake in the last corner. Otherwise, you don't get more than 3/10, then you really need to make a lunge.
Speaking of lunges, Kenny 500 up the inside. That's a nice little defense there, Samsoid. Great to chat with you. We're going to let you go and focus on this fight, though.
Yeah, go interview Kenny now.
Oh, Paul, I love it. You could hear the breathing, though, as well. He's working hard.
I think he's got his force feedback turned up as well, hasn't he? He's really trying everything to get this car staying ahead of Kenny 500. Can he make the move? There you see Christian around the outside. That gives you the inside for the next corner now. But Samsoid can get the cut back under. Oh, Kenny 500 just chops the nose off there. So Samsoid dropping down the order here. But as he said, though, underworking those front tyres could well actually work in his favour towards the end of the lap. But Emery now right on the tail of Samsoid. She is a person on a mission right now, trying to move through the field.
She was racing in the real world last weekend. That's why we didn't get to see her as a Porsche All-Star, but great to see the 51 back on the grid, shaped to the inside, and should be able to make this move. I was wondering if Stradi was going to try and follow through as well. He's thought about it, tries to open up that door that Samsoid's going to run out wide, pick up the 1X off track, carry some speed. Paul, I know you love your track limits. That's not on, is it?
That is, yeah, that is a talking to. I half expect to hear a race control voice being there saying pit lane penalty, track limits 15 times or something like that. As we go to the lead right now, Casey Kerwin has got the lead still over Ian Gouvan. Still staying about the same, but look who's right behind though. you've got Quirk in third place, and then the Pulpo Lopez just a little bit back from them. So we've got a nice little trio, almost a quartet at the front, as Emery now makes that move stick on Sam's side.
And almost running over the curve there. That was close to a slowdown for the orange and black number 7 of David Samsoid, so has to be careful there. I will also just go back to the front because Alan Changuven looks to try and make his move past Casey Curran. I was going to call out that Quirk's running very, very strongly, the best that he's run all season long, and he's got a great view side by side as they play some side drafting down towards the timing beam.
Oh, this is fantastic. Two absolutely special drivers at the front of the field then. It's Casey Kerwin, Iron Changuven, and Quirk is going to be coming up to them as well. Onto the brakes into Daichi. Getting the move done, but not sticking yet. Casey staying there alongside Guvan, and this is going to point out to what you said earlier, Arjuna. You said that they could go side-by-side racing here. Quirk's got the best view in the house, but he doesn't know where to go, and this is allowing the Pulpo Lopez to catch up to them.
If I'm Quirk, I got to watch out behind as well. There's a very similar looking car that's going to try and plot its way on through. Love the shirt that Quirk's wearing as well. This fight might finally be done though on the run towards the chicane because Guven's got the inside, the preferred line in towards the braking zone. Kerwin's going to have to be strong on the outside to try and hold on, and Quirk's all over these two as well. He's right there as they funnel onto the brakes deep from Guven, who holds on.
Yeah, nicely done then. That battle pretty much started just a few more corners away for this race lead. So Anchen Guven into the race lead. He's going to be looking forward now. He's wanting to try and pull away. The problem for him is that the draft seems to keep these drivers close together. I think that's a little bit of a wrong line there from Casey. You lose too much time going that far wide, I do believe. But on to the front straight once again. 1.4 kilometres, almost 1.5 kilometres down the straight here. Kerwin's on the tail.
I think that line's going to work for Casey, actually, because Guven was so much tighter. He delayed getting on the power. He's going to have to defend to the wall and watch behind as well, because Quirk, for a second, had to think about how he covered off the potential jink back to the outside. Guven holds on for the time being. But this is all setting up, Paul. This is setting up for the final laps of the race, when these drivers know their moves will really count. They're playing with each other right now.
Like a cat playing with a mouse at its court, isn't it? It's just waiting for its opportunity and having some fun. 4.5 minutes to go then in this race, and look at the two drivers behind the wheel. You get to see them fighting it out. Casey Kerwin, bottom left, your reigning champion, and he's trying to win yet another championship. And then Anchen Guven on the bottom right, actually a race winner in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup a couple of years ago, before he then had to go off to his real-world commitments. But certainly two drivers. I think genuinely that Casey Kerwin could compete in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup if it wasn't for the fact that he had the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Well, I'll say it in the right order at some point.
I think we should be fair, because I've talked to Casey about this as well. He's described himself to me as a streamer who occasionally does some serious sim racing. I don't think he's got the appetite to necessarily want to straddle both worlds like a Bobby Zelensky has, a Mitchell de Jong, a Parker White has in the past. But we know this, it's not for a lack of speed. It's potentially just because he's feeling a little bit lazy, to put it that way. They're weaving and bobbing back and forth. This is fun, though. This is fascinating stuff, Paul. I really do enjoy Fuji and the challenge it presents, especially in this GT3R. The ABS and the traction control, just trying to make sure you don't get into them. Let's chat to the Pulpo Lopez, who sat back there in fourth position. Pablo, how's it going out there?
I'm watching a really nice race between Casey and Guven. I'm trying to catch, but I'm not able to.
So you're watching, but you're not playing just yet?
Just like, guys, come on.
Pablo gets one, he'll get two as well. That's what you were waiting for. Go get Quirk now, Pablo.
I will not be able with Casey here.
It's a good little fight between the two of them. Oh, Pablo, done a great job there. Come on, keep going.
Thank you, Arjuna. But
I
we
can
need not to fight, to just catch Quirk, because he's getting really fast as well.
I can feel the stress from behind the wheel. 2 laps to go at the line this time by, and I'm hoping that they'll fight a little bit more, because what a story that would be for Quirk to come out on top here at Mount Fuji.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. I think Quirk will be honest and say it's not been his year for the Pesca All-Stars, but to get a race win here in the sprint race would be absolutely fantastic. I don't want to point fingers, so I want to see a replay before we have any say in what happened. Here we go then. It was wide line on corner exit into. Oh, Casey.
Okay, we're under the shadow of Mount Fuji. Now that's pretty impressive. Frodo would have been happy with that attempt to try and drop the ring into the lava.
Oh dear, Casey. Yeah, that was ambitious, shall we say. But one driver who's laughing all the way to the bank right now is the driver at the front of the field, Quirk. Now, the question is, does he get another lap out of this race? It's going to be close. We've got 45 seconds. I think we should just get another lap in of this race. So the Pulpo Lopez and Casey Kerwin, they're continuing their fight. Kenny 500 now finds himself in 5th, but look at the queue of cars that's behind him. Emery, Samsoid, Stradi and Pablo Vicente are all together. Now, was Samsoid's trick of trying to look after his tyres earlier on worked out, because he was falling down the order early on in the race?
Something to think about in the longer main race as well, right? The drivers have to hold on to these tyres for that little bit longer. Similar situation with Emery and Kenny 500, the different lines off the final corner to what we saw with Guven and Kerwin earlier on. But here we go. It's checkered flag out here at Fuji.
Yeah, we've run out of time. So Quirk is a race winner in 2025 for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars. He's delighted with that. It must have been right as we hit, but it was as we hit 15 minutes he crossed the line. Quirk's delighted with that, and why wouldn't you be, Arjuna?
I mean, the clocks have shined on Quirk. He will be thrilled with that. I think he would have held on even with the additional lap. A great drive from him here at the Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, great stuff then at the front of the field. We'll get you our unofficial race results then from that first race here. And well, it is Quirk who wins that race. 8/10 of a second in the lead of the Pulpo Lopez, with Casey Kerwin and his naughty front bumper in 3rd place. Then it's Kenny 500 ahead of Emery, Samsoid, Pablo Vicente and Ainchan Guvan, who dropped down to 8th. That does mean that he's going to be starting near the front of the second race. Stradi and Storm Molina rounds out the top 10. Rest of your finishers then, Love 46, Grizzle and Tony Kanan. Something must have happened that we didn't catch for them to be down the order. So there we go, that's the results. We've got a few minutes to get ourselves prepared for the second race, and Arjuna gets to talk to our race winner.
1 lap earlier than I was expecting. Quirk's a race winner here in 2025. Quirk, how do you feel?
Yes, I'm so happy. I have had a couple horrible weeks, and I don't care if I got it handed to me, I will take it.
I mean, you didn't have it handed to you completely, because I was saying as well, Quirk, this is, I think, the best I've seen you drive throughout the Porsche All-Stars this year, up at the front with both Casey and Einchan. How are you feeling around this track here today?
I was feeling good. I did IMSA was here this week with the same car, so I did some races here. I had some horrible luck, but I actually practiced. It turns out that helps. I haven't done that before, so maybe I'm going to have to start doing that a little bit more often.
I will clip it and put it on your soundboard for the next time you forget to practice. Before we let you go, I've got to ask, full invert coming up now. What are you expecting?
Honestly, probably death. I mean, you know, I can't. There's just no way I can have that awesome of a race and then have a good follow up. I would love it. I would love. You know what? If I can get top 10, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, TK's son got the victory here today. Congratulations, Quirk. Great to catch up with you after the sprint race win. Let's catch up now with Ian Chenguvin after, well, Casey Kerwin's bumper decided to turn you around in that sprint race, Ian Chen, but it was a fun race until then.
Yeah, it was a good race, especially 2 laps before we almost did have like first sector side by side, so it was quite a fun. And yeah, I see that he was doing a move, so I just give one car room, but I think it was not enough. He needed a bit more, but I think at the end it was good fun, just bad luck.
That's racing sometimes. Talk to us about this combo as well, because it's got a mix of the slow speed and the high speed, medium speed sections as well, rather. It seems like a fun track in this particular car.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks in iRacing, because the last sector is super technical, and it's really good for racing as well, that you can do a lot of overtakings in different spots, so it's not just 1-2 corner. So there's I think 7-8 overtaking spots in a different style, so it's quite a fun, and Pat's race later today will be so much fun.
The one thing that is weird though, I'm sure, starting a GT3 from a standing start.
Yeah, that's true. I was just expecting to have rolling start, but when I see everyone going high RPM, I say, okay, we are going to start, you know.
Ian Chan, great to have you back as a Porsche All-Star. Best of luck in the main race and
Thank
the full invert that we've got coming.
Yeah, always good to hear from our drivers here in this one, especially one that's been assaulted. I think we'll need to call 911 on Casey Kerwin after today. So here is the schedule of events here for the second All-Stars race. So we've got a full inversion from the main race, and if you're wondering what we mean, well, we basically take the results of that race. So Quirk finished in first. Then we will completely flip the entire field, so Quirk will be starting the second race in last place. That means that Tony Kanaan, who finished last in that race, will be starting on pole position.
An interesting format. It's one that we've come to love in the Porsche All-Stars with that full field invert. Sometimes I do wish that we could do that the Supercup as well, but I think those drivers might have something to say about it with the stakes on the line. Paul, it's always great to be back here at a track like this where we have the opportunity, like Ian Chen mentioned, 6 or 7 passing opportunities around the lap.
Certainly. Well, if you do want to get yourselves into iRacing, if you're watching this and thinking this is a lot of fun, then check out iRacing.com for all new memberships. It's 40% off currently, so do check that out as well whilst you're there. And you never know, you may end up racing against some of our All-Stars, or indeed even ourselves here in the commentary booth, although not that often recently. Here we go, grid for the second race. Tony Kanaan starting from pole position. Alongside him on front is Grizzle, with Love 46 and Storm Molina on row number 2. The third row of Stradi and Ian Chenguvin, so we'll see him trying to pull forward as quickly as possible. And then on row number 4 of the grid, it is then Pablo Vicente and Sam Floyd, with Emery and Kenny 500 on row number 5. And then Casey Kerwin on the naughty step, down on row number 6, alongside him is the Pulpo Lopez. And Quirk is rounding out your 13-car grid here in the All-Stars. Don't forget, in about 40 minutes' time, we have got the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup coming up. But first, we're going to have some iRacing action here with the Porsche Heuer Esports All-Stars. Drivers then looking towards the starter's gantry. Tony Kanaan, what can he do? Can he finally get some good luck? One of these races. Engine revs are rising. And we are underway for this main race. Good start, good launch from Tony Kanaan, but he's got Grizzle up alongside him to the inside. Love 46 looking to the inside as well into turn number 1. Love 46. Does she go to the lead? The answer is Yes! Yes, she does! But for how long? Because Tony's going to fight back in this one. Sensational stuff at the front of the field. Love 46 up 2 places. Now only up 1 because Tony Kanaan down the inside takes the lead back.
That was authoritative back up the inside, but watch through the long right-hander. I think we were 4 wide through 1, expecting at least 3 wide in towards the hairpin. Only 2 wide though inside the front 4. It might be further where some of those drivers trying to make some moves. No one really made some big headway in trying to fight their way forward up through the field. Casey Kerwin only up to 10th so far in this race.
As we head into the chicane, then Anja Guvan there lingering, waiting for an opportunity in 3rd place, but he's got a tough task of Love 46 and Tony Kanaan in front of him. There you see Tony Kanaan, bottom left, Love 46 bottom right of your screen. Storm Molina's dropped down the order. Something's happened to Bell. Oh dear, after starting up towards the front of the field. As we go into that final corner, Panasonic corner, and then on to the start and finish straight once again. So Tony Kanaan leads ahead of Love 46. Anja Guvan is looking for moves. Straddy up a place into 4th. Grizzle down 3 places to 5th.
I'd argue it's a great chance for Guven to get to the front and then maybe break away if he's able to. Casey was able to grab a couple of spots in that final sector, so he sits in 8th position. He's the one that's now trying to work his way forward from the back. Love 46, though, deep under the brakes and covers off Iron Jan Guven. Very nicely done as they run off the track once again.
Yeah. But we go on to lap 2 now. Tyres up to a bit of pressure and temperature as we go through that turn 3, 4, 5. It's a long sweeping right-hander then at 100R before we head into the hairpin and Love 46 into the wall. Was there contact from behind from Ian Changuva? Well, we'll have to look back and see. But what that does mean is that Straddy is up to 3rd place and Love 46. Oh, what has she done to deserve that?
It just looked a bit awkward, so I'm looking forward to the replay so I can get off the fence that I'm sitting on now. But like you say, better to be able to understand exactly how that unfolded. Guven now's got to try and close up 6/10 or so to TK as we get ready to end the 2nd lap. Kerwin's grabbed another spot in addition to the one that he's grabbed because Love 46 has dropped down through the field, got in front, like you said, of Kenny 500. So 6th place for him. There's a chance that Guven and Kerwin could still be fighting by the time we get to the checkered flag here today.
Could well be, and well, we were slightly denied a bit of an exciting end to the race last race because of the contact between Guven and Kerwin. Kerwin's not that far behind right now as they cross the line. TK's still leading, and as they go into that turn number 1, as we look at the replay then, and it's just carrying a little bit more speed, and yeah, just gets into the back there, and that's the problem. Because the cars are turning, it's easy to unsettle the car in front.
I think something else as well is Love 46, I think is braking a bit earlier than Iron Guven was expecting as well. So she's covering the inside, Guven's not necessarily expecting it. And I think that's just a situation where the two come into one, and it's unfortunate that you can just see Guven's running such a different line to what even TK is able to do. The exit off the corner, he just carries so much more mid-corner speed that he leaves the complex with so much more speed. And around the outside, TK is not even going to fight Straddy as well. He'll drop back to 3rd as the new race leader hits the front.
Yeah, so Guven to the lead, ahead of Straddy then. Can Straddy have a good result here in this main race? Remember, we've got 15 more minutes to go yet in this one. It's a 20-minute race, this 2nd race, so plenty of time for drivers to be able to do things. And you were mentioning, Arjuna, about the fact that there's very few drivers have set a valid lap time early on in that last race. Only 4 so far have set a valid lap time. Anyway, let's go across the line and give you a little bit of iRacing Full Throttle. There we go, a little bit of full throttle action, and there's some action happening on screen right now. Down the inside goes Kerwin. That's on Grizzle, but not getting the run out of Panasonic. Grizzle with that wider line out of the corner, carrying the speed then, and Kerwin's having to jump back into the slipstream. Guvan has got a 0.7 of a second lead at the front. He'll be hoping to pull away, as you pointed out, Arjuna, earlier on. But look at this now, TK, Grizzle and Casey Kerwin all together.
It's going to be interesting who's used their tyres the most, because effectively we finished one lap of where we would have been at the start of the sprint race, right? But we've done an extra 5 minutes beyond that as well. So have you leaned on the tyres underneath you just that little bit too much? Casey's going to try and cut back underneath of TK and sweep his way around the outside of 100R. That's a bold pass, even for someone as skilled and talented as Casey. Just look how he puts the pressure though on to Tony, who I'm glad that we're not talking to him right now, because we know English is not his first language. He looks very, very stressed right now.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be his day here today so far, as we go into the braking zone once again for the chicane. And behind it was Kenny 500, who almost got into the back of TK, and that's just going to allow contact around. Oh my goodness. Well, it was bound to happen at some point, and it's Pablo Vicente who's the one who loses out on it.
And now it left Quirk and the Pulpa Lopez to continue banging doors as they climbed up out of 13, 14, and now towards the final corner. The long right-hander back onto that main straightaway. Tighter line being taken by Quirk to try and defend, but the big gaps have started to grow between first, second, and third pole. So Casey being mired down in this sort of a fight. Einchen Guven still a little focused on Strati closing him down. I think Kerwin starting not to think about the fight at the front of the field.
Yeah, I think he's just focusing up on whatever points he can get out of this one. It's been pretty much Casey Kerwin's series all season. We were saying that beforehand, Arjun, that we need to put a penalty on him. Meanwhile, there you see Grizzle, bottom left, Kerwin, bottom right. Yeah, we need to put a points penalty on Casey, don't we, Arjuna, before the last round of the season next week. What do you think about 100 points?
Yeah, let's just take all his points away. That seems like the only fair thing to do. He's already won one of these championships as well. It's only fair to let someone else come out on top.
Yeah, and don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, you can actually look at the All-Stars information on the iRacing website. So, yeah, as there we see, that switch of position then, it is Casey Kerwin ahead of Grizzle. So, yeah, that's going to allow Casey to move up into third place right now. So those two are going to be finished fighting for now. Behind them, just a couple of places back, TK has got Kenny 500 all over the back of him. You'll just see them coming to shot. There they are. And Kenny 500 trying his best to move forward as well in this one. TK, I have seen during the break between the two races, he was saying that he's not having a good day today, shall we say.
Let's not talk to him during the race then. Let's save that maybe post-race, and we can have a chat with the trials and tribulations that Fuji have put down on TK. That's not going to be a fight. Kenny 500 just slides his way on through. At bottom of the screen, you can see the Supercup drivers out on track getting ready for qualifying. And Paul, we were wondering if there was going to be some rain in the forecast for the Supercup drivers, expecting it potentially for the sprint race, but it's not started just yet.
Yeah, you can see bone dry conditions there. Cooper Webster, current championship leader, on screen on the bottom of your picture. But the Supercup, you're not missing a thing. They're coming up in 29 minutes. And yeah, certainly it's Webster who is going to be looking to try and get one hand on his trophy for this season. But you never say never in the Supercup, because when you've got people like Jordan Caruso, Mitchell DeYoung, not that far back either, it's going to be tough for Webster to keep that championship lead in Supercup. Well, we have got 8.5 minutes remaining in this All-Stars race. Aishan Guvan has a 2.3 second lead over Stradi in second place, with Casey Cohen in third. And then you've got Grizzle and Kenny 500 ahead of Tony Kanan. And there is our current championship leader, and he's speaking to our junior.
Looking very relaxed, running down the pit straight as well. Casey Kerwin joins us in the broadcast. But Casey, how's things going out there?
Pretty good. I just blew turn 1, but it's yeah, going good. It's yeah, been an interesting race. It was, I think I was middle of like 5 wide in T1 and got bounced around a little bit, but thankfully the car is clean and we're still moving, and I haven't killed anyone this race, unlike last race.
Yes, let's go back to that first race and the unfortunate kill of Iron Changuben. Very well executed, I must say.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I tried to do a move that I think I've probably got a little too used to being able to do in a higher downforce car like a prototype. And I realized once I got out to the left there, we had to start braking, that I was in substantially deep. And unfortunately, Guben was not far enough ahead to not get killed. So yeah, I killed him, handed the victory to Quirk. But yeah, it was fun. It was nice to at least keep up with Guben for once and get the race with him. Unfortunately, it ended a bit in tears.
That's what we were saying as well. And Quirk was keeping up with you on pace, so was the Pulpo Lopez. We had 4 in the fight. Of course, your eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series continues this week from Rockingham Speedway. You head to the Rock. How are you feeling as the season heads to the 5th round of 2025?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. It's a new track for all of us that we've never raced in the series before. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be kind of similar to Darlington, where it's kind of old and wore out. We'll kill tires a lot. But it can also kind of move to a higher line and be a bit tough to pass. So it'll be interesting, though. Something new for all of us. And yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully, last race we got wrecked, had a bad finish. So hopefully we can bounce back and get some of our momentum back.
Well, and before we let you go, you talked about not having the downforce. Porsche 963 next week. You're surely looking forward to that.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna miss it. I'm out of town. I'm gonna be in Long Beach next week watching IMSA, the IRL 963s. I'll be watching them go around Long Beach, so I will be missing it, unfortunately. But yeah, I would be back more in my home if I was back in that thing. Yes.
We'll get a rig in the paddock. How's about that? As Kenny 500 has had issues out there. Thank you very much, Casey, for joining us. And yeah, Kenny 500 has had major issues out there and has dropped down the order to 10th place. I did see while we were talking to Casey there that Samsoid nearly had a heck of a hold on the exit of 100R, because he looked like he was about to wipe out Tony Kanan, but held on to it and kept the car nice and clean. So yeah, we're still keeping with this. Quirk in 6th. He's been progressing through the field along with the Pulpo Lopez, up 7 places respectively for both of them. Casey Cohen in 3rd, up 8 places.
Didn't see much movement at the start of the race from those who started at the back, but slowly but surely they picked their way through the stragglers as we slowly separated out the field. That's kind of what we've seen as the invert's taken place. That's going to be a nice slide up the inside as the Pulpo Lopez makes it work initially. What a cutback though from Grizzle. Saw that coming from a mile away and hold on to 4th position through that sequence.
And that's a pretty much a textbook move that happens there, down there into Daichi. And it's a case of that deep dive, missing the apex, the other car able to cut back. But look at that, just Grizzle dropping back through 100R. That's Pulpo Lopez and Quirk moving ahead of him. So up to 4th and 5th for the Pulpo Lopez and Quirk. Now, can Quirk move forward? Well, Grizzle, I can tell you, actually had a slow down penalty, so he must have cut a course somewhere.
I think you can just get too greedy with the curbs on either side, both of turn 3, but also the long right-hander. So not shocked, and that's kind of what I was thinking, seeing how aggressively he slowed down and pulled to the side. See how easily Quirk's going to be able to make the move on the Pulpo Lopez. That will be a fun fight in those final stages, as is this, the fight for second, as Kerwin all over the back, the gearbox of Stradi, 3.6 seconds, now 4 seconds rather, behind your race leader. So Iron Changuven has blown clear of this race. We should have... I want to be confident with how many laps we have left to go. I'm pretty sure we've got 2 laps left to go, Paul, but I could be wrong.
Oh, we should definitely have 2 laps to go. 3 minutes, 10 seconds. Yeah, we should have that time. Here comes Kerwin down the inside into turn number 1. Stradi taking that little bit wider line, giving that space then to Casey, and Kerwin is through. Meanwhile, Samsoid through on Tony Canard. So TK's just been dropping down the field. He's got Emery behind next. So Grizzle staying ahead, but this time of Samsoid, as the Pulpo Lopez and Quirk have been switching places, you can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. So action aplenty here in this main race of the All-Stars.
Yeah, Quirk's just been best performance from him all season, without a shadow of a doubt. Like he says, practice helped. Who would have thought? And I think made that move on the Pulpo Lopez relatively easily as we head into these final stages. It's close. I think Iron Changuven is very, very close to whether we're going to head on to the final lap of the race or we're going to get another lap after that. I'm not sure if it's going to be as tight as what we had in the previous race with Quirk, but my eyes are peeled to where our race leader is relative to the clock. As look at TK, the focus on his face as Emery puts the pressure on now.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Emery getting some full metal racing under her belt last week, which is why she wasn't here, but it's great to have her back here. I'll tell you what, full respect to the drivers who race from down under, having to wake up really early for these races. So thank you so much to them for their what they put themselves through in these events. Right, white flag is in the air. The final lap. Iron Changuven's 3.5 seconds ahead of Casey Kerwin. Stradi's in third, but we've still got close action here. Emery, Tony Canaan for 8th place. TK running extremely wide through turn number 1 once again. And ahead of them, Grizzle and Samsoid. They've not finalised their positions either.
Neither Kenny 500 and Pablo Vicente, who swapped back and forth through that opening corner. Just a bit of a cutback, I think, from Kenny 500 as Pablo Vicente tried to make that move. Fuji's been fun. It's a really interesting track, isn't it? And we've seen with these All-Stars, Iron Changuven said it best, 6 or 7 different corners where you can make moves. And every corner on the track, Paul, is an opportunity to run side by side, even if it's not the fastest way around Fuji Speedway.
Yep, certainly is. As through the chicane, one of the latter end chances of making a move here in this race. But look at the front. Iron Changuven, there's one more corner to go. He's a superstar in Turkey, and why wouldn't he be? He's a sensational driver. I know he's got a lot of fans online here. And Iron Changuven is a Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup All-Stars main race winner here at Fuji. Flash of the headlight to cross the line. Stradi's going to slow down. No, Quirk's going to slow down penalty on this last lap as we go across the line. Kenny 500 is ahead of Pablo Vicente and able to hold on to that place. TK holds on against Emery here at the end of this race. And the final 2 drivers, Love 46 and Storm Molina, head across the timing line. Well, we will find ourselves heading into the Loctite post-race show here for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars. Let's give you some unofficial race results then from the main race of this penultimate round of the series. Iron Changuven then is the winner, 3 3/4 seconds ahead of Casey Kerwin with Stradi. Good to see Stradi up there on the podium in 3rd place. Pulpo Lopez just ahead of Quirk on that last lap with that slowdown penalty. Then it's Grizzle, Samsoid, Tony Canaan, Emery and Kenny 500 round out the top 10. 3 other drivers to give you as well. Pablo Vicente finished in 11th ahead of Le 46. And Storm Molina rounds out your 13-car field. Well, Gouvan is the race winner. Hopefully we'll get to speak to him at some point, as well as a few others, Arjuna. But you said it there. That was a lot of fun, and I think Fuji is going to give us some really intense racing in Supercup.
I can't imagine what we're going to be in for. That's going to be very much one that helps us decide the championship. Let's go ahead, though, and dive into some post-race interviews before we get into the world of the Super Cup. I'm not quite sure who we're going to be joined with, so let's find out. We've got Quirk, Tony Kanaan, and Casey Kerwin joining us now. First up, Quirk. I love the shirt, by the way. I pointed it out for the rest of the show. You're making sure everyone knows exactly what TK and his sons can do.
Yes.
For the way I'm driving, I need it. So thanks, Quirk.
Someone's got to take the spot of the fast driver, I guess, now.
Well,
I told you.
At the very least, Quirk didn't disappoint, TK. It's great to have you back, TK. Let's quickly chat with you because it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen you in the Porsche All-Stars. And I did hear that this combo maybe is not your favorite.
I mean, when you're not talented, you find excuses and you hate the track, you hate the car. That's just me. I'm an old race car driver. So I still got to thank you guys for this because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it with real work. Now I have less time and it's just really definitely not my favorite combo, but it's because I'm not good at it. So it's always cool to see and have the challenges and the battles that I had today. So all good.
I'm sure it's been busy as the start to the IndyCar season, especially in your new role. I've got to ask, are you going to be with us next week? Are you going to be back with the downforce at Le Mans?
Find a simulator. Anybody in the Long Beach area, let me know. But we're racing in Long Beach on the IndyCar race, so probably not. Unfortunately, this probably will be my last one, unless I have a new project as a team principal at McLaren. I'm gonna add a simulator in our racing truck. But let's win the championship at the 500 with the real drivers, then I might be able to pull that off.
You heard it here first. Casey, you also said you'll be at Long Beach next week, missing the action. So we have to proactively congratulate you on winning the Porsche All-Stars Championship for 2025. How does that feel?
Oh, yeah, it feels good.
Yay, Casey. I'm so happy for you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's always fun. It's the Pesca All-Star Series is just one of the more fun things I get to do every year, hanging out, messing around with Quirk and everyone, and TK, everyone in here. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of banter, and a lot of fun racing. And I enjoy every minute I get to be a part of it. And I was grateful to be a part of it again this year, and had a fun year.
Thanks for joining us here from Fuji, and enjoy Long Beach next week, TK and Casey.
Thank you.
See ya.
Let's see who else we've got standing by. Anchan Guven, after being able to break away at the front of that main race. Anchan, a bit easier for you in that main race after you were able to pull the gap at the front.
Yeah, I mean, the only good side of that crash in the first race was that I need to start in the front. And then there was a small touch with Love 46, so also apologize to her. And then, other than that, it was a simple race and good fun.
Good fun. It was great to have you here in the Porsche All-Stars. What's the plan for the next couple of weeks? Where are you heading on the road to get behind the wheel of a Porsche race car?
We are busy. Next week we have a race in Paul Ricard GT World Challenge Endurance, the first race of the GT World Challenge season. So it will be busy, a lot of testing. Yesterday I was testing, day before I was testing, so I just arrived home today. So quite busy days.
Thanks for jumping in with us, Iron Chen.
Yeah.
Best of luck for what's coming up.
Thank you.
Always great to have Iron Chen join us, both an all-star, but also a Porsche Esports Super Cup race winner as well. It was great to have Emily Jones back in the field as well. She's joining us in the broadcast booth, if she's aware of it. Emily, how's it going? Do you have a coffee with us?
Do I have a coffee with you? Sorry, I thought you said, do I have a coffee? I don't have a coffee, but I do have a coffee. Yes.
You might want the coffee, because I know it's early in the morning. Great to have you back. How was your racing out there last weekend in the real world?
It's fun. It was a lot of fun. I drove a little Hyundai Excel, and I came second, third, and second. I didn't win a race, but I didn't win a race in this either, so I had a good time, just like tonight. So, yeah.
I mean, a sweep of the podium's not pretty bad, so that's a pretty good one. You looked like you had fun out there at Fuji as well. Talk us through the evening.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting combo. The first race was really fun racing. We drove around a bit, and I can't remember where I came, but I think it was somewhere. And then the second race, was a little bit more interesting. We got into a bit of beef with some other drivers, but also, I'm fighting for my rights on the racetrack, elbows out and all that. So I had a good time. It was fun.
Thanks for coming back to the Porsche All-Stars. Hopefully we see you next week at our final round from Le Mans.
Thanks. See you there.
And last but not least, it's going to be Grizzle who joins us now. Grizzle, Porsche 911 GT3R at Fuji. Final time we're in a car with relatively limited downforce. How was that from your perspective?
Well, I'm definitely glad that we had a decent race position-wise. Definitely wasn't the cleanest on my end after reviewing the incident. I do apologize. I have said my sorries. But it's fun, and I gotta say, I'm giving you a hot take here. Fuji is better than Suzuka.
Oh, that is a hot take, and you know what? I'm here for it. We saw some good racing here today, and I've got to say as well, I love the put your hands up and apologize, because that's what racing's meant to be about, right? You give it, but you also are willing to take the responsibility.
Exactly. It was just a small incident. It's that split second, Kenny was on the inside. I just thought for a split second, maybe I can just move in behind him, but it was just not big enough of a gap, and I just accidentally took him out. So that's all on me. Hands up. I'm going to prison.
We'll get you out of prison in time for our season finale in the Porsche 963. Thanks for joining us, Grizzle. We'll see you from Le Mans.
See you then. Bye.
It's great to hear from so many of our All-Stars and giving us their thoughts here. And I absolutely love the completely genuine delight that Quirk had at Casey Kerwin winning the championship. That certainly was fun to hear. Here's highlights then of the main race from this penultimate round of the championship. There's just that little touch then that spun Love 46 around from Ayanchan Guvan as more and more action happened on that race. But Arjuna, the All-Stars will head to the Porsche 963 next time at Le Mans. It's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Oh yes, how do I know? I finished top 10 the last time that we went to Le Mans in the Porsche All-Stars in that 963. It's really interesting, I think, the fact that these drivers have not seen that car since Daytona, since the first round of this season. And Paul, Fuji, I think, such an interesting contrast, right, to the Circuit de la Sarthe. What a way for these drivers to focus up in this final sprint to the end as Ayanchan Guvan stamps his authority on the Porsche All-Stars.
Certainly does. Absolutely sensational stuff from Ayanchan Guvan to be able to win that race. I mean, this season as a whole with the All-Stars, we've had a lot of fun with our All-Stars. It's also been really good to get some of those Porsche Works drivers involved as well, and even kidnapping Lauren Heinrich for the mid-season tournament as well on commentary.
Viewing him in the broadcast booth, not a bad idea given the insight that he gave us. Ultimately, maybe a bit sad that Casey's missing the championship showdown, but he's already wrapped up the championship. It leaves some new race winners next week.
Certainly does. Well, you want to stick around because in just a few moments' time we are going to be heading over to the Porsche Supercup at the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. 3 championship contenders, I can tell you, are all together in qualifying. We'll bring you the results of that in just a few moments' time. But stick around because right after this break, it is the penultimate round of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup from Fuji Speedway. Join us. Week number 5. It is the fastest circuit in the UK. Thruxton in Hampshire. 21 points separate Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso. 3 wide for Cooper Webster. We've got car up and it's Sebastian Job.
there's going to be some work for Jordan Caruso to do here, Paul.
Luke McEwen takes the win here, and it's Cooper Webster who does take the lead. So there's a car off, 2 cars to the back of the field, and these two have not been closer through this race.
Cooper is making his case well and truly known.
Cooper Webster is a 2-time race winner this season. For the penultimate time this season, we go racing here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, and what a venue it is to race from. Fuji Speedway. It is a tremendous racetrack, and it's going to be a tremendous challenge for your drivers here today. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankipati here, as always, for this coverage. And Arjuna, we're going into these final 2 weeks, and we've got a number of drivers who could still potentially win this championship.
The reality is, after today, we will say arigato to most of the drivers in the championship fight, and it's going to leave 3, 4, maybe 5 at the very front. But one driver has led from the mid-season of the tournament and made sure his name has been counted. It's Super Duper Cooper Webster that everyone's looking to try and catch in the Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Yeah, he's really turned things on this season, and we all thought that his teammate Sebastian Job would be the one to try and defend his championship, but it's another Oracle Red Bull sim racing driver who's able to do that. Well, here we are then, Fuji International Speedway for the penultimate round. We head to the Circuit de la Sarthe for the final round of the championship next week, so the drivers quick turnaround these final 3 weeks of the season. And well, given previous years of what's happened at the Circuit de la Sarthe, anything could happen yet in this championship. You want to join us all the way to the checkered flag next week. But right now, Fuji International Speedway, tremendous track, and it's a tremendous challenge for them. Lone qualifying has been completed. They only get 1 lap to complete a lap time in qualifying, and then it's an 8-lap sprint race. The top 8 finishers from that sprint race, they get inverted, and it's the 16-lap main race for the drivers here today. And well, we could say that for the 4th time in his Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup career, it is Jordan Caruso who gets the Tag Heuer pole position award, and he's standing by with Arjuna.
And I think most significantly, as far as my record books reflect, for Jordan, your 2nd pole of the season, the first time we've had a driver being able to do that. So Jordan, how are you feeling? Championships at stake right now, and you are delivering.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, thanks. That was probably the most hyped I've been for a qualifying lap. Yeah, wasn't expecting it. In practice, I didn't really do anything special, but yeah, executed when it matters. Yeah, still a lot of points up for grabs, so yeah, can't get ahead of myself. Gotta, yeah, just keep trying to score consistent points. Anything can still happen.
I'm noting a different background. Where are you racing from here today?
I'm at the Cabina Hub. Massive thanks to Antonio for giving us this space for now. Yeah, it's been a pretty cool environment.
We'll let you focus on the race at hand. Best of luck, Jordan, for what we've got here at Fuji Speedway.
Thanks, Arjuna.
There we go then. A very hoarse sounding Jordan Caruso as well, so maybe a little bit under the weather. But as you say, Arjuna, crucially, the first driver to get 2 pole positions this season. He's got the watch resting on his wrist. He just needs to do up the strap, doesn't he, to get that pole position award.
A very special Porsche Tag Heuer watch that the winner of the pole award will grab as well. But let's be honest, that's just one prize. Caruso's thinking he wants his 2nd Porsche Esports Super Cup title.
Yeah, absolutely he does. Here's the starting grid then for us in this race. Jordan Caruso and Cooper Webster, your championship leader, are starting alongside each other on the front row of the grid. Mitchell de Jong, who's third place in the championship, starts in third place in this race. Sebastian Job gets the job done in qualifying. The question is, will he be supporting his teammate throughout this race? Tristan Iglesias and Gustavo Ariel rounds out row number 3. Fourth row of Diogo Pinto and Sam Keiter with Alessandro Bico and Kevin Nielsen. Florian Lebigra and Will Chadwick, 2 of our rookies this season, sharing the 6th row of the grid. Alejandro Sanchez and Julian Sonnen is alongside each other with Xander Reed and Luke McEwen. Michael Janney and Oscar Pye on row number 9. It's the 10th row of the grid for Johan Hart and Josh Thompson. Nicholas Mateo and Moreno Sarica on row number 11. 12th row of Carlos Penalosa and Luca Kita. We've just got one more row of the grid to go. Beckham Jusia and Elliot Veyron rounds out our 26 starters here today. Incredibly close qualifying between 1st and 25th, 6/10 of a second covering them, Arjuna. This has been absolutely sensational.
And now for the very first time in series history, Paul, our eyes turn to the starting grid where the drivers have got the threat of rain. Not a threat, the reality of rain as they get ready to go. It's going to be the Team Indian Racing Festival machine of Jordan Caruso that's got that best run into the opening corner. And why is that important, Paul? For the first time, spray is going to be a factor.
It certainly is. We've seen it in the Contender Series. We've seen rain, but never in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Right, engine revs rise. We're all set for the start of the sprint race. Green flag in the air, and away we go. And it's a good start from the front from Caruso. And Mitchell de Jong has been able to come through into second place. The 2 teammates working together. Sebastian Job around the outside of turn number 1. Wet line, that could be a key thing for the drivers here today. Cooper Webster, though, staying in third place for the time being as they head into turn number 3. But Arjuna, everybody at the front top 10, getting themselves into single file.
I think they all recognize that this is the race where it could all go wrong very, very quickly. This is going to be difficult. The braking zone down through that hairpin, there's going to be a puddle, I'm assuming, on the inside. Just the way that corner is somewhat cambered in. You can see these drivers at the front of the field. They've tiptoed their way through safely. Couple of single file trains now starting to build at the front of the field. 8 laps doesn't sound like a lot, Paul. It's not a lot of time for this rain to move around. These drivers don't have to adapt too much to changing conditions as we get ready to rumble.
Oh, into the chicane, there's a little bit of side-to-side contact. That was Gustavo Ariel with a little bit of a touch of Tristan Iglesias, who's really come on as Iglesias throughout this season, really adapted himself. Best result last time out at Thruxton, 3rd place in the main race. It's still Caruso and de Jong with Webster and Job in 3rd and 4th place respectively as they come into that final corner then. You can see everybody's trying to hook an inside line into that last corner. The problem is where the normal racing line is, it's very slick, it's slippy, isn't it, Arjuna?
Very slippy, and that's one thing that we were kind of discussing pre-race. If there was going to be less rain, it was going to be more damp to dry. The adjustment of the racing line was what was going to be the most interesting thing. When it's like this, drivers are just trying to get an understanding and then hit their marks for 8 consecutive laps. That's a big send up the inside from that Stormforce racing machine. And Alejandro Sanchez is now trying to peel Florian Lebigra away from the optimal entry in towards the left-hander. This is a tetchy racing stuff, Paul, but it's all happening as the 3 championship leaders at the front of the field just extend their advantage.
Isn't it incredible how we've got the 3 championship protagonists at the head of the field coming into this week, all at the front of the field as well? It's absolutely sensational. It's what we would love to see going into the final race of the season as well, to see it all decided on track. But Caruso is staking his claim The thing for me, Arjuna, this season is that Mitchell de Jong has just been going about things steady away. He's got the odd victory here and there. It was what? Mitchell de Jong was in the mid-season tournament, wasn't he? At the sprint race was one of his victories here today, this season.
He's just one of those drivers where no matter what discipline of car you put him in, he's going to be quick. And maybe you'd actually favor him, given his rallycross pedigree, both in the real and virtual worlds, to succeed in these conditions. Points on the right side of the screen. 85 is the cutoff mathematically, but being realistic, you need to be within 70 or 80 points to have a chance at the championship. And what did I say at the start of the show? It was going to be down to 3 drivers, I thought, Paul, who would be mathematically in contention. If it stays like this, that would be the case. But Webster's still in the advantage seat, if you ask me right now, 3 wide in the heart of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those Drago Racing cars towards the rear of the field. That's Fenelon. No, it's Matteo, who's just sneaking ahead of Sarika. Luca Kita involved in that Stormforce Gaming racing car. That's what happens when you hit the white line of pit exit. You get unsettled, and well, down the order he goes, and contact between the two. Oh, Drago Racing. Oh, dearie me, get involved with the Stormforce racing car of Luca Kita.
It's been that sort of season, hasn't it, unfortunately, for Drago Racing, for both Matteo and Fenellosa. It's just been difficult. They've never really found their footing, found any sort of rhythm, and continuing to struggle down the back of the field. This mid-pack's where the expected action is, though, with these wet conditions, and so this is where you're seeing the drivers challenged and tested for the very first time, and it's so interesting as well. Here's another look down on the bottom, and Paul calls it out. He hits the white line a little deep on his marks as well, and unfortunately that little bit of a slide makes them 3 wide as they exit off the corner, and sitting duck, unfortunately, ping pong they go.
Carlos Fenelon and Luca Kita, the ones who come off worst out of all of that. Well, back at the front of the field, Caruso, de Jong, Webster and Job. There's no change of position there, but they have been able to gap out 5th place back. Gustavo Ariel into 5th, by the way, after starting in 6th place. A change of position between him and Tristan Iglesias. But this is a good, important race as well. 8th place on the grid. Sam Keiter right now is the one who's leading that charge in 8th, with Diogo Pinto 7th place, and Team Redline position themselves very strongly to get the inverted grid.
That's how I was reading it as well. And you look through the top 9, it's Coanda and Redline affiliated cars running up there. So those in the championship fight have got helping hands in some cases. Caruso and de Jong have Tristan Iglesias in 6th position. Webster, Job, Ariel, Pinto, Koita and Labigra. They're not going to work together. There's a rule against that in the championship, but when you're subconsciously making those decisions, right, you're running down the main straight, who do you want to follow? Whose life do you want to make easier? That's all things in that slightly longer main race. We're going to be thinking about de Jong and Webster are fighting for 2nd, and this is important, Paul. I was wondering if Cooper felt the need to try and make some moves.
And look at them, they're side by side through the sweeping right hand, and then 300R into the chicane. You can make moves if you can hold the outside line around this corner. That gives you the inside for this part of the chicane, but no, de Jong able to hold on to that for the time being. But Cooper Webster is showing intent. We're going to car around. It's number 77, Alessandro Bico. Oh dear, it's been a season to forget for him, and Webster, contact between him and de Jong. Webster holds on to it. De Jong fortunate not to come off worse.
We got to think about one thing, Paul. More points are paid out in the main race at the front of the field, right? So if any of these drivers is able to fight their way through everything in that inverted top 8, it's more valuable for them to finish well in that second race. Jordan Caruso does have the difficult thing, though, of 7 moves would have to be made to get to the front of the field. So right now, the championship picture is swinging one direction. Let's wait 20 minutes, because it's going to look slightly different once we get to the end of the main race. Sebastian Job has got to play the team game here, though, and not make Cooper Webster's life too difficult, and he tucks back into line. No risk at this stage of the race.
Yeah, it's... this season definitely has not gone for Sebastian how he would have planned it, and it's proved once again. We laboured the point last time out at Thruxton that how difficult is it for drivers to hold on to and retain a championship here. It's never been done. Look at the spray that the driver's having to contend with. We saw Job pulling out from the back of Webster going into turn 1. I think that was just to see his braking point, Arjuna.
That's a fair point. I called that de Jong's experience in Rallycross in the real world. Of course, racing the X Games, was leading the Nitro Rallycross 2 championship before that season came to an end last year. For Cooper Webster as well, let's not forget his experience in open wheel cars in the real world. Raced last year in England. We know how the weather can be there. He looks to the inside of Mitchell de Jong, tries to force the door open. 3 laps to go at the line, and Webster's looking increasingly desperate to try and force his way forward, Paul. Not what you'd expect from a championship leader.
I think he wants to minimise the points lost to Jordan Caruso, but we've seen it time and again. Arjuna, you pointed it out. That main race is where the big points are paid, and if you can finish at that 3rd, 4th, 5th place, it's not the end of the world here in this sprint race, because it then takes you to the main race where you're getting those bigger points, and it ends up working in your favour. Look at the spray down the straight here as we go 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, de Jong's gone deep, very deep. Caruso had to get out of it. That's allowing Cooper Webster to have the move at the race lead. But de Jong, big mistake from him. That's going to have a big swing on those points that you see them. As things stand right now, 33 points, Caruso behind Webster. That's helped Webster out.
This is what Webster was doing, the pressure. He wanted de Jong to break and crack, and he has. And now what does Caruso think? Former teammates to the hairpin. Caruso's forced to go defensive here. This is fantastic. This is spectacular stuff at play as well. And the undercut there from Cooper Webster. Super duper around the outside. To the hairpin they'll go, and Webster's not clear just yet.
Caruso's fighting back. He's not giving up this lead. Not yet by a long shot. Into the chicane once again. Webster, he can hold the inside line. That's the advantageous place to be. They make more contact between them. It's pinball for Job. And all of a sudden, the 2 Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing cars find themselves at the front of the field. Cooper Webster to the charge.
And now what weather are we looking at for the main race? We're not expecting rain. Is it going to be damp? Is there going to be moisture left on the tarmac? This is spectacular. De Jong shaping back to try and force Job to give him some room as they run onto the 1.4 kilometer dash back to turn 1. But clear at the front of the field, the championship leader. Let's go back to points very quickly, Paul. 25 points for a race win in the sprint race. Guess what? 26 points for finishing 8th in the main race. So there's that little complexion to think about, right? Winning this race, Cooper might just have gotten himself a couple more points here at the expense of more points in the main race.
Sebastian Job's going to try his best to be the widest. Porsche down the inside, Gustavo Ariel, contact for de Jong. Oh my goodness, down the order goes de Jong, down to 9th, down to 10th, is tumbling down the field, and one little mistake. It was a big dive, a late dive by Gustavo Ariel. It's now Cooper Webster leading from Sebastian Job. Gustavo Ariel, the Team Redline, is in 3rd place ahead of Jordan Caruso in 4th, who of course racing for Team Indian Racing Festival. Wow, big dramatic moments here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, and it's only the sprint race, Arjuna.
Wow. The first time we've had rain, and already a bit more drama, and with some championship implications you'd assume. So de Jong's now outside of the front 8 invert. This is disastrous for his championship hopes. Caruso, he's now very much vulnerable, because you look at the rest of the top 8, and there's only one other Coanda affiliated driver. He's only got one friend to work with. Everyone else in there is going to be working with Webster in the final race here at Fuji.
They certainly are. Well, this has been a dramatic opening race. Pleasure to have you all along joining us for this one. It's the penultimate round of this championship, the sprint race here today at Fuji. We're going to be starting the white flag lap, the last lap of this race. So it's Webster, your current championship leader, who's at the front of the field ahead of his teammate Sebastian Job. Gustavo Ariel third ahead of Jordan Caruso, Tristan Iglesias in fifth, then it's Pinto, Keita, and currently in provisional pole position is Florian Labigra.
But he's in the hot seat, but you can see Alejandro Sanchez just behind at the back of shot. He's the one trying to work his way into the invert. This is the train running behind Jordan Caruso, though, as they sweep back up to turn 3 on this final lap. What an excitement, though, for us to get underway with these All-Stars. And this, Paul, is what iRacing considers light to moderate rain. It's not light, it's not moderate, it's somewhere in between. Remember, we're in Fuji, we're in Japan. It could have been monsoon levels.
It certainly could have been, yeah, absolutely. But it's given us some tremendous racing. All the while, the drivers having to fight the car. Remember, no ABS, no traction control on these vehicles. Seeing some of the best sim racers in the world competing here. And everything is coming up Cooper Webster right now. As Sanchez, Mitchell de Jong's just lost a place to Luke McEwen. So de Jong's dropping down the order. The Team Indian Racing Festival driver not having fun out there. The driver who came into this week, third place in the championship for Cooper Webster. Just one more corner to go for him, and he can sense a race win here in this sprint race. This is crucial for his championship. It's 25 points, but it's 25 crucial points for him and for his Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing car. Cooper Webster is going to be your sprint race winner here at Fuji in the penultimate round of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Sebastian Job rounding out in second place ahead of Gustavo Ariel in that Team Redline car. And Florian Labigra for that Verstappen.com racing car in 8th place will get the grid inversion here, Arjuna.
Yeah, unfortunate there. I think both Jordan and Mitchell, if this was the real world, would be going straight down the paddock to Gustavo to have a very, very stern chat. But instead, guess what? We'll flip the front 8 and we'll get ready to go for the second race of the evening, such as the world of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup.
Let's give you your provisional race results then from the sprint race then here today, the penultimate round of the championship. And well, Cooper Webster then taking victory here today in the sprint race. He'll be starting in 8th. Behind him was Sebastian Job with Gustavo Ariel in 3rd. Caruso, your 2nd place in the championship, down to 4th place from pole here in the sprint race ahead of Tristan Iglesias. Then it's Diogo Pinto, Sam Keita and Florian Labigra, that crucial 8th place for him. Alejandro Sanchez and Luke McEwen then ran out your top 10. Mitchell de Jong falling down the order to 11th. He'll be disappointed with that. Oscar Pye, Kevin Nielsen, Will Chadwick, Johan Harth in 15th, ahead of Julian Sonnen. Elliot Veyron, Xander Reed, Josh Thompson, and Marina Sarika is the last of the point scorers here in the sprint race. Final 6 here in this one was Beckham Jacia, ahead of Michael Gianni, Nicholas Matteo, Luca Kita, Carlos Fenalosa, and Alessandro Bica, both retired from that race. Wow, what a dramatic turn of events that was then, Arjuna. Cooper Webster, though, he won't be looking back. He's looking forward. That's a race win for him.
And usually we'd be trying to chat with our sprint race winner, but this is unprecedented situations, Paul, because for the very first time, drivers are trying to head back out onto track and figure out what the track condition is like. I've just been looking at the forecast. We've advanced time. We've turned the clock forward, one of the benefits of sim racing. And so the rain has just about passed the track now. And instead, we are left with the last little bits of sprinkle. So hopefully, we're going to see a dry line start to build over the race that we've got in front. But before we chat to Cooper Webster, let's see if we can catch up with the highlights of the first ever rain race in the Porsche Esports Supercup.
Yeah, it was a good launch from our drivers then, and the front 4 were able to make a breakaway at the front of the field. But then the pressure was coming from Webster, from Job, on Mitchell de Jong and Jordan Caruso. Contact further back with Alessandro Bica. He was the one of our retirement in this race. And then you see that spray really affected the drivers out there. Deep from De Jong. That was the first mistake that allowed Webster to charge. And then, wow, Ariel couldn't really see from that just how far back he was when he hit the brakes. But wet conditions challenged those drivers, and Cooper Webster was the one who came out on top here today.
An interesting decision, like I said, to fight that aggressively to get to the front of the field, given that, again, the main race, finishing 8th, pays out more points than winning the sprint race. That's sometimes the reality, though, of the Super Cup. We're joined by our sprint winner, Cooper Webster. Cooper, what a fun fight that looked like from our perspective. Talk to me. Did you feel like you had to get to the front, that you needed to pass Jordan and Mitchell here in the first race of the day?
I didn't really feel like I needed to, but I felt like my pace was better than theirs, so I just went for it because didn't want to sit behind, and it just kind of worked out really well. I think the work that we've done with the team in the wet driving has been good.
Yeah, talk to us about the wet driving. You've, of course, got some experience out there in the real world race in the UK last year. So what's the experience like? The first ever rain race in the Porsche Esports Super Cup?
Yeah, difficult because, it just adds kind of an element to it, and it's very easy to make mistakes. But I seem to go decent, so I'm not too fussed about it.
Decent indeed. Congratulations, Cooper. See if we chat with you after the main race ahead.
Thanks.
There we go then. Great to hear from our sprint race winner in this one. You are right though, Arjuna. We are past the rain ban has passed, so we will be seeing if things dry up for the drivers out there. Well, for more information on the championship, log on to iRacing.com/PESC. You can keep up to date with the standings out there, keep up to date with results as well, and get yourselves prepared for that final race of the day here today. Not only that, but also the final round of the championship in 1 week's time. Look at that. Main race wins. Most main race wins. Cooper Webster moves himself up into joint third of all time with 4 wins. Only Sebastian Job and Josh Rogers have more wins than him. And a really diverse grid that we've had here this season in the Super Cup, with nations aplenty honoured and seen here this season. Great to see all those drivers out there competing and giving us a great show. But Arjuna, well, just 3 more races for us to call this season.
And crazy that this is the 3rd year that you and I have been in the booth together as well, and it's been a quite remarkable ride just in those 3 years alone, even putting aside the previous history in this Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Well, it's Florian Labigra then, who starts on pole position. Then alongside him is Sam Kiter with Diogo Pinto and Tristan Iglesias. Jordan Caruso will be looking for a good start. Alongside him is Gustavo Ariel on row number 3. It's the 4th row of the grid for Sebastian Job and Cooper Webster, with Alejandro Sanchez and Luke McEwen then on row number 5. Mitchell de Jong will be gutted, being starting on row number 6. Alongside him is Oscar Pye. Then on row number 7, Kevin Nielsen and Will Chadwick, with Johan Hart and Julian Sonnen on the 8th row of the grid. Row number 9 for Elliot Bayron and his teammate Dander Reid. It's the 10th row for Josh Thompson and Marina Sarica, with Beckham Jasia, Michael Jani on row number 11. Row 12, Nicholas Mateo and Luca Kita. Then the final row of the grid, Carlos Penalosa and Alessandro Bico, the 2 retirees from that opening race of the day. So, the sun is coming out here, Arjuna. Partly cloudy is officially the weather right now. We've got about 35 seconds to the start. Who are we thinking then, Arjuna, for the win here in race number 2?
I think we have to just think about those 3 championship contenders, how aggressive they're going to be. I know why you're asking me for a race winner, but it's not the question that's on my mind. I'll give you an answer. Diogo Pinto, why not? From 3rd on the grid. Just look how much the track has changed, though, Paul. They're all on wet tyres still, though, crucially. They have not gone onto the dry compound of tyre. So for the race ahead, there's still a little bit of moisture expected to be dealt with.
Yeah, the track is officially lightly wet. It's not dry enough to be on slicks. So the drivers then will be set and ready for 16 laps of action then for this one. Revs rise and we're underway. Green flag and we are racing for the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup here at Fuji, down towards Daichi for the first time, onto the brakes of Florian Lebigra, doing exactly what he needs to do from the start. We go 4 wide further back in your field. That's not asking for trouble at all with these drivers in wet conditions. In towards turn 2, we've got a car spinning off at the back, and I think that's Jasia. It is Beckham Jasia off at the rear of the field. Oh, cars going wide off track, Arjuna. Shows how tricky things are on this opening lap.
Got a feel for Beckham Jasia as well. That's the driver you and I had called out as being one to watch heading into this season, but out through the hairpin you can see moisture still on track, but the spray's a lot less. Bumper cars played behind though as they tiptoe across one another. Xander Reed and the Kubina Racing 76 that lost the most speed and time through all of that, but outside of Beckham Jasia, everyone else still pointed in a straight line as through the chicane they work for the first time.
Oh, Sebastian Job with damage to the front of his car, so some contact has happened to him. Crucially though, Jordan Caruso has gained a place on Tristan Iglesias. Cooper Webster's actually lost a place to Alejandro Sanchez. We know how good Sanchez can be when things are going his way. But the problem for Caruso now is trying to move forward ahead of Keita, Pinto and Lebigra. That is 3 very difficult drivers to make your way through in this race. But I would say Cooper Webster's in a tricky place because he doesn't want to get involved in an incident where he ends up out the race.
Absolutely, and the point situation now would be the thing that's the most interesting to look at, because Cooper said he didn't feel like he needed to make the move, but his pace warranted the move, which I agree with. He was clearly faster than both De Jong and Caruso, and so maybe that explains why he felt so aggressive. This not going to be 3 wide because Webster backs out of it. He does go to the inside though because he sees an opportunity to pass Alejandro Sanchez. There's contact between the two of them as they exit off the corner. Sanchez slips and slides off the track. Webster's not quite clear though as they head to turn 3. He's got to watch in the mirrors, but he'll slide his way on forward.
Luke McEwen has a bit more experience in these challenging conditions in one of these cup cars, and Mitchell de Jong's trying to get past Sanchez. Those two have been championship rivals in years gone by as they head into the hairpin, the left-hander here. As I say, McEwen has got a little bit of experience in these wet conditions, and that means that he maybe can move forward. Here's a replay then looking, this is towards Johan Half, and the number 90 goes down the inside of 2 others there at the chicane, but then gets punted around, does Johan. Meanwhile, further back, that's Josh Thompson spinning around as well in that Team Redline car.
I think Johan probably put himself in that position. Hard to tell with Josh. He's just a 2x2 there. 3 wide for Johan. A dangerous place to try and be that aggressive if we're being honest. At the front of the field, we're going to get a 4-car breakaway. Tristan Iglesias has got a bit of a helping hand now to offer to Jordan Caruso in the sister car in that Team Indian Racing Festival number 12. The Lebigra, Pinto, Koiter. Bit of spray still from these drivers. Expect that to start to dissipate as we get towards the end of this race. Caruso 4th, Webster 8th, and that's what it means. 32 points between the championship rivals on the right side of the screen. And while technically the 38 of Tristan Iglesias are still mathematically in contention, technically Mitchell de Jong, you can probably put them outside of the likely points categorization.
Look at that, look at that. Look, McEwen trying to make the move around the outside of Cooper Webster. That's a daring move then into turn number 1. And Luke McEwen, here's the thing, he's nothing to lose in all of this, Arjuna. He just wants to gain as many places as possible for himself, because he did come into this round in 4th place. He's down to 5th place right now. But remember, prize money is paid out depending on where you finish at the end of the season. So Luke wants to score as many points as possible.
And you saw how competitive the field is, right? Tristan Iglesias got passed by Sebastian Job, so no longer is he able to support Caruso in the same way. He's also dropped 85 points outside of the championship lead, so he would be mathematically out of contention going into the final round. So these are all those little things that we're going to be thinking about in these final moments at Fuji, the penultimate round of the championship. Let's go back, though. Beckham Jasir, pick up what happened to him as he fights alongside. So again, Drago Racing, their poor season continues as they get involved in a bit of the struggle, and then bang, contact made, and that's Alessandro Bico, not Beckham Jasir, rather.
Yeah, it was the 23 then of Michael Gianni, along with Nicolas Matteo. Matteo has had an absolutely foul season. I think the only person who's had a worse season than him is his teammate in Drago Racing, Carlos Penalosa. So, been a season to forget, I think it's safe to say, for Drago Racing. But you never say never going into a final round at the Circuit de la Sarthe, that is for sure. Well, the front four, as you mentioned, Arjuna, have made a little bit of a breakaway at the front. Now, if you're Sam Keitel, even though this is officially a drivers' championship, there's no teams championship here. It's all individuals. Sam Keitel will be getting a word in his ear from the team boss at Team Redline, going, help the team out, will you please? And hold up Jordan Caruso as much as he can. Still, Penalosa and Bico side by side into turn number 3. And well, Penalosa just holding on to that further down the order.
And that's the other Drago Racing car we'll point out in the battle with the Lassie and Williams Sim Racing entry, that number 77. Go back to Coitert for a moment, though. You also have to think mentality this late in the season, right? Coitert's not got much ground that he can really make up as compared to a Diogo Pinto in front of him, or even a Florian Lebigra. Lebigra and Coitert are actually relatively close in terms of points, so maybe that's what's going to go through their minds right now, Paul, right? Is they're not fighting for as much as maybe Diogo Pinto is, who is tied on points with Kevin Nielsen coming into today's event. So these are some of the things that maybe subconsciously they're thinking about. Coitert's gone wide, left the door open. Caruso's not going to be able to peel it open just yet, though, and this is where you've got to wonder how aggressive he wants to be, because now he's put himself into the fire. Contact with Coitert as out of the final corner they work, and now a drag race to turn 1.
And look at that, straight away, the two in front pull over to give the slipstream to Keitel. They do not want to give Jordan Caruso that slipstream as they head down the start and finish straight to start then the next lap of the race. Lap number 5 here. It's a 16-lap race. We've got plenty of time in this one to see how things pan out. But, a little bit deep there from Keitel. Completely legal. That's absolutely fine, what he's been doing there. He's entitled to defend his position. And look who is catching up to Caruso here, Arjuna. Sebastian Job.
And this is what I said about being in the fire, right? He's, yes, now fighting with Coitert, but the front two have scampered off slightly. And he's sandwiched by people that he's going to be watching out for. You know, he's not got teammates that you're feeling that little bit more comfort when you're racing around. The reality of a high-level race, though, whether it's real or virtual, at this level of competition, you're always looking in the rearview mirrors because everyone poses a threat. Once again, points on the right side of the screen. Job is out of championship contention going into the final round as things stand. And our streak continues. No back-to-back champions in our series.
Yeah, we'll crown a new champion or another championship for Caruso. It's going to be a tall order for Mitchell de Jong in that third place. 73 points off right now, and de Jong, well, he's not been moving forward. Little touch between Keitel and Caruso. This gives Job the opportunity, thinking 3 wide. Now is Keitel going to hold the car on the apex and allow Sebastian Job to try and get the run out of the corner down this 1.47 kilometre straight. And once again, pressure is on Caruso to try and move forward, but Job is there. He means business. He wants to move ahead.
How aggressive is Caruso going to go into turn 1? Because I think offense might be the best form of defense here. Coitert's going to block the inside, and watch Job trying to go the long way around. And Caruso recognizes this. 3 wide, out of control on the white lines, though. And this could be the championship. What we're looking for at Le Mans. Team games being played, and Caruso slides his way back to 6th position.
Look at that then. Job, 2 places gained into the podium. And Caruso now just 2 cars ahead of this car that we're riding on board with, Cooper Webster, who right now, I mean, he's still got Luke McEwen for company behind him. You know, things aren't completely over yet. McEwen, it only takes one little missed braking point, something like that, and it could be tears for Webster. So this race, it's not over yet. Still a long way to go here at Fuji International Speedway. Paul Smith, Arjuna Kankapati bringing you the action here today. And what excitement have we got in store still?
Almost tripping over each other slightly further behind that. It's Mitchell de Jong and Alejandro Sanchez, 10th and 11th positions. I'm just sitting here and thinking, Paul, it's been a while since we've had an Altus Esports car running at the top level of sim racing on the road side of things. They still have engineering efforts on the oval side of competition, but Cooper Webster, Jordan Caruso, formerly teammates back at Altus Esports. Simon Feigel's probably watching somewhere in his sim racing retirement going, at one time, we had a pretty good program, a pretty good team at Altus, and look how far some of their drivers have come.
Well, there is Florian Lebigra. Him and Diogo Pinto have romped away at the front with all the tripping over of each other that's been going on, and this is allowing Florian Lebigra for Verstappen.com Racing to be able to lead at the front. Neither driver of Pinto and Lebigra have a main race win this season. Remember, Lebigra sensationally put it on pole position in the opening round of the championship at Daytona and ended up getting the sprint race win. Could we see the rookie getting his first win here and join an illustrious list of drivers to have won a main race in the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup?
Who was my pick for winning this main race? Oh, that's right, Diogo Pinto. At least he's still in with a chance. Can't claim the curse of the commentator in this, but these are 2 drivers who coming into the season would have thought they could have been championship contenders. I mean, Florian Lebigra in the Contender Series last year, the step before you get here to the Super Cup, he was the only Team Redline driver. Very different situation to what it's now like in the Super Cup. He did make a mistake, though. There's no ifs or buts about it down at turn 10. And back in the pack, Cooper Webster at turn 10 has a bit of contact, tripping over one another. But most importantly, Luke McEwen and Alejandro Sanchez don't drive through the rear end of the 37.
Yeah, they got out of it, and I think it was wise for them to do so because they know that there'd be potentially a penalty looking their way post-event. Remember, if you are new to watching the Porsche Heuer Esports Super Cup, we do not have live stewarding during the race. Everything is done post-event, so that's why you always want to make sure a few days down the line you want to check out iRacing.com/PESC once everything has been sorted out. Pinto to the lead whilst we watch the bumper cars going on further down in your top 8. Pinto to the lead now, and the Portuguese driver, your former champion, remember, is Diogo Pinto back in, what was that, 2021 for him. That'll feel ever so long ago, won't it?
Fight for 15th is going to see a bit more contact being made. Pinto's got no idea how intense some of this racing is further behind, and what a change since he won that championship. Our first race with rain. Taken a few years, yes, but I mean the series has had so many new drivers, new tracks, of course, Sachsenring and Thruxton this year alone. It's been a treat, Paul, this entire season, and hopefully our final round we'll still see that title showdown between Caruso and Webster. These drivers, though, as we called out, all fighting for prize money, so there's plenty for them to still be focused on, and that means qualifying next week at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the one-lap shootout. They're going to be putting in plenty of hours for that one lap.
Yeah, they certainly are. This is great stuff to watch. They're really tense here in this one. But right now, if you are in a Team Redline jersey right now, or one of their supporters, or a Verstappen.com Racing supporter, or the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing supporter, you are cheering on at the front of the field. Because it is Pinto in the Team Redline car, then it's Verstappen.com Racing's Florian Lebigra, then Sebastian Job in an Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing car, Sam Kaiser and Gustavo Ariel in the Team Redline outfit before the first Team Indian Racing Festival driver Jordan Caruso, 6th place, ahead of Tristan Iglesias in that Coanda Esports car. Then it's Cooper Webster, Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing, rounding out the top 8. But you kept on pointing it out, Arjuna. Those points for 8th place in this main race being more than a race win in the sprint race. Cooper Webster's, quite frankly, in a comfortable position right now.
I wonder how much the teams actually go and look at the different combos that they can get with the invert playing its part as well, and try and strategize at different tracks given a coefficient of how difficult it is to pass. You know, I'm sure some of these teams are going that deep into the data. If they try and actually understand whether they want to fight forward or not. This is not an easy track to pass, but it's also not impossible. Cooper has just found himself really mixed up in some fierce racing. There's no ifs or buts about that. I mean, Sebastian Jobe's been able to climb his way forward 4 spots up to the 3rd, but just the luck of the draw. That's sometimes how racing goes. Cooper's now probably got championship mentality, though, starting to go through his mind, Paul. When you're the leader going into the final round of a championship, it always puts a bit more expectation because you're the one that everyone expects to leave with the championship. If you're Jordan Caruso, there's less pressure. You've got to just do what you can. If something goes wrong for the other driver, that your opportunity really comes.
What's really helpful if you are a driver who has experience of winning championships, not necessarily in this championship, but in other series, and if you've got that championship mentality, then certainly that's going to help you throughout a season. And Cooper Webster, the worst thing you can do right now is change how he's driving, because he would then not be doing what he normally does and not be in that routine. So right now he's putting the pressure on Tristan Iglesias, and in fact I think he's trying to make a move. Is Cooper Webster? Yes, he is. Look at them side by side down this start finish straight into the braking zone, and that puts him now 40 points clear. We're back to how we were coming into this round, Arjuna, because it was no, it wasn't actually. It was 38 points coming into this round, so 2 points to the better for Cooper right now.
Yeah, I think Jordan, if he had been able to hold on to a spot in the top 4, it would be slightly closer to him. But yeah, it's just going exactly the way Webster wants right now. That is a swing, in my opinion. 2 points doesn't sound like a lot at this stage of the championship. It's big, and again, I think mathematically Mitchell de Jong still in contention, but that contact with Gustavo Ariel, that's going to be the turning point for him in his championship aspirations, maybe starting to slide away. Paul, let's not forget as well the drama that we had at Le Mans last year when we got into qualifying and suddenly everyone's, how do I put this right, not running on the road and instead running on the side of the track where it's very bumpy, but they could keep their tires cool and go slightly faster. Sebastian Jobe looked like he was riding a bucking bronco, didn't it? It's a track where I think we could see a bit of a change in the running order if one team finds something unique to find some more speed.
You just know that there's going to be a heck of a lot of time being spent this week poring over the data, poring over practice sessions, putting things together, trying different things out there on track, as going forward here across the line then. Pinto is still just 0.2 of a second ahead of Florian Lebigra. Sebastian Jobe, Sam Kaita together with Gustavo Ariel in 5th place. Those three, I don't think are going to be trying to make any moves on each other. I think they're there for one reason, to take away as many points from Gustavo Ariel in front, behind should I say, but in front in the championship of those three in particular. And they're doing a good job of it right now. 6 laps to go, Arjuna, there. You never say never. I always think back to, what was it, 2 years ago? Jordan Caruso at Le Mans, that big accident into the Porsche curves. That could have cost him a championship, and it could cost somebody a championship if it happened next week.
And even in our season finale, if I remember correctly, with Caruso, I'm thinking of the next year when Sebastian Jobe won his 2nd championship. He had trouble in the sprint race, just held on in the main race, ended up being less dramatic than we were thinking it might be. Cooper Webster last year as well, Paul, he did have split responsibilities. I mentioned him racing in the UK, but he did some races from the Red Bull factory on occasion as well, right? We know that limited his practice time, and so unfortunately for Cooper, he's not racing much in the real world this year. He's, I think, been given a lot more time to dive into the sim racing world, and so the real world's loss is Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing's gain, because he has looked consistent, never really stressed, and able to put those qualifying laps together. That is so important in a championship like this, and Cooper Webster is heading into that final round. 5 laps left to go, I know, yes, I'm not trying to jinx him. We're going to head into that final round knowing, like you say, if he doesn't change anything about himself and the way he's been delivering results, he's looking very, very good.
It's still the same at the front then. Diogo Pinto from Portugal ahead of Florian Lebigra from France. And then it's these for third. It's Job, Keita, Ariel, with Jordan Caruso slightly falling back, I would say, from those three right now. So Caruso last lap was about 0.3 of a second slower. So another thing that we've not really had to worry about in this series until today with the wet weather and with it drying out is tyre wear. Because around here there's a lot of long radius corners, aren't there, Arjuna? Especially long radius right-handers. You're putting a lot of strain on those left tyres.
Seems as though we're not necessarily dry enough to see a super dry line forming just yet. And so I wonder if this main race, the 16 laps, is just short enough that we're not going to be dealing with too much tyre wear. But again, it goes back to the overheating, right? As the moisture starts to disappear from the surface, it's going to be that much more difficult to cool the tyres down.
Officially, the track has got drier. It's gone from being lightly wet to very lightly wet. So if this was an endurance race, you'd be keeping an eye on that and thinking, right, we're going to be switching slick tyres soon. Here, you lose too much time switching tyres. So you're going to be sticking on those wet tyres for the rest of the race. We don't see it have the effect that maybe it has in full metal racing, but searching for that water to cool down the tyres a little bit as things dry out is something that you do need to think about to a degree here.
Still, I think the moisture's enough that they don't seem to need to pop out of line so much. Also seems as though it's quite difficult to follow. So maybe what we've seen, Paul, is wear in a different sort of form, right? Usually we're talking about the thermal wear in iRacing, but maybe it's a different sort of degradation at this stage, and that's why we've seen the gap start to build through the field.
Don't forget, next week, championship finale at Le Mans, the Circuit de la Sarthe, on the 12th of April, 1900 GMT. I'll be check your local time zones for joining us next week for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup finale. We crown a champion next week, but right now, if you're Cooper Webster, he's not thinking about it at all. What I'm thinking about here right now is how Sebastian Job has actually been catching the front two here in this race. He has been consistently quicker lap on lap.
Some good late race speed from Sebastian Job, who, again, no champion has ever been able to defend their crown. And we've often talked about how for Sebastian Job, it's often very mental for him. The ability to keep control of his emotions, keep centered on a race weekend. And maybe that's something that after a struggle in the opening round of the season at Daytona, where not only did he fail to set a qualifying lap, but a couple of different bits of contact as well, and then got race control penalties for all of that as well. After that, he seemed flustered, Paul, and never able to bounce back. It's not been because of speed. He's been at the front on occasion in qualifying, but I think he's going to reflect on the season as a what if. He's going to hopefully be back for 2026 with a bit of a passion and hoping to become the first three-time champion of the series.
That'd be absolutely sensational if he is able to do that. And by the way, this isn't the only Porsche action of the weekend for Luke McEwen, for Will Chadwick and for Sebastian Job, because tomorrow in the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain, they're racing at Donington Park. And guess what, Arjuna? The weather forecast is a bit questionable for their races tomorrow as well. So we could see some excellent racing for them tomorrow as well. So if you haven't quite had your fill of Porsche racing here today, make sure you check us out tomorrow on the Porsche Twitch channel for that action. But 3 to go, well, 2.5 laps to go here. And as I mentioned earlier on, Sebastian Job is catching up to the back of Florian Lebigra. Lebigra is just dropping off of Diogo Pinto here now. So I think, is Lebigra just using up those tyres a little bit too much? That
might just be slowly playing its part in these closing stages. 2 to go at the line. You can see the rear end just not cooperating. It's moving around as he tries to get the power down. Definitely not the same sort of stability that in front Diogo Pinto has, behind Sebastian Job has as well. So wouldn't expect Koiter to, or rather Lebigra to fight too hard. Remember, he's only really close to Koiter in the championship. So those two aren't really moving relative to each other, given that they're finishing close on the road. The fight's further behind though, still relatively impactful, Paul, for some of these drivers inside of the top 15 of the championship standings.
Oh, Will Chadwick going super aggressive across the pit entry hatchings then, and Sebastian Job sets the fastest lap of the race here. That just shows that the track is getting quicker and quicker, drier and drier. To the inside goes Chadwick, and through he goes in that Hymo Setups car. Been a mixed season for Will, I think it's fair to say. He'll be hoping to have a good finish to this championship to get himself as high up as possible for that prize money come season end. But 2 to go in this race. Pinto, Lebigra, Job are your front 3. Caruso not really catching, but crucially for Caruso, he is pulling away from Cooper Webster behind.
He is, and that's a 2-second gap now as well. So right side you can see the points as they will be, if they finish as they are, 40 point the gap between Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso, which, Paul, you can get 50 points for winning the main race next week. So it's not far away from Cooper being able to put himself into a mathematical situation where he's not going to be too stressed out in the final race of the season.
Lebigra having to be a little bit defensive here from Sebastian Job. Job does have that little bit of damage on the front of his car, like I said at the very beginning of this main race. Right, we're going to see the white flag. One more lap for these drivers to compete in. And what a day at the office it has been if you've got a Red Bull logo on the side of your car, because it has been a glorious one for them. Job, another fastest lap, attacking Florian Lebigra for second place into the first corner. And Lebigra, well, he's got the inside line, but Job, does he get on the power? No, he's on the curb. That's going to hinder him on corner exit. He's still side by side. Pinto's in the lead. And still, they're absolutely together. Job finally makes it up into second place.
It's good racing, but between two drivers who have no intention of making any contact with each other. I did note Kevin Nielsen just headed down pit lane for a drive-through penalty, so he's got too many incident points over the course of this race. Paul, he was top 10 in points coming into the night. That's going to impact him heading off to Le Mans for the final round of the season.
Remember, 25 score points in this race as we head down to the hairpin once again for the final time in this race. I'll tell you what, Sam Keisert's car just wiggled a little bit under braking. That would have caused the heart just to miss a beat or two. Lebigra's not giving this one up without a fight on Sebastian Job. The two of them coming through into the final section of the lap. Turn 13, 14 and then 15. Tricky part of the track, very technical round here. And then the final corner, turn number 16. Well, the driver at the front, Diogo Pinto of Portugal, is coming out of that final corner. He is going to see a very long way down the start and finish line the checkered flag, and Diogo Pinto is a main race winner once again in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. That's his third main race victory in his career, but crucially his first one of the season. His best result this season, second place at Mugello in that epic fight between him and Sebastian Job earlier on this season. Across the line, Will Chadwick actually gets the fastest lap of the race. Absolutely sensational stuff from Will on the last lap as the rest of your drivers come across the line. But it's a good win for Diogo Pinto, up 2 places from where he started in this main race.
And I think the fastest lap also showing that the speed only got faster as the moisture dissipated as we head into the Loctite post-race show. A really fun outing at Fuji Speedway. Rain for the first time, Paul, hopefully not for the last.
Here is then your look at your unofficial race result then for the penultimate main race of the season. And it is Diogo Pinto who wins by 1.5 seconds over Sebastian Job. Florian Lebigra in third, ahead of Sam Keita and Gustavo Ariel, the 2 Team Redline teammates. Then Jordan Caruso, 6th place, the championship contender, only finishing 1 place ahead of his sprint race winner and championship leader, Cooper Webster. That's important for him in the championship. Luke McEwen rounds out the top 8, ahead of Alejandro Sanchez and Tristan Iglesias, who dropped down the order. Mitchell de Jong, 11th, not able to move forward in that race at all, ahead of Elliot Veyron and Oscar Pai. Will Chadwick, then, he stayed in 14th place where he started, ahead of Morena Sarica. Luca Kita was one of your big movers, 8 places gained for him into 16th, ahead of Julian Sonnen, Josh Thompson, Michael Jani and Alessandro Bico, rounding out your 20th place. 21st then for Johan Hart, ahead of Xander Reed with Carlos Fenalosa and Kevin Nielsen, who got that black flag drive-through at the end of the race. Nicholas Mateo and Beckham Jasia did not finish the race. And, well, Arjuna going to be standing by with your race winner in just a few moments. And, well, take it away, Diogo Pinto.
We've got a whole suite of drivers to catch up with. First, it's for the first time this season, race winner, Diogo Pinto. Diogo, how's that feel to finally step into victory lane in 2025?
Yeah, it's been an up and down season, but the pace has always been there. It's just execution hasn't been great, or at least as good as the last year and the year I won the series. But yeah, it's finally nice to get a win. So it's been a win for the last, I think, 4 seasons, at least 1 win. So that's nice, and the team did really well. I mean, it's just not the win for me; it's for all the other guys. I think we finished in the top 5 positions, and Cooper consolidated his championship. So I'm very happy.
You're a bit closer to the top 5 in the championship as well, with 1 round left to play. What's the mentality going off to Le Mans? I'm expecting plenty of practice as you try and find the magic bullet in qualifying next week.
The goal is always to finish higher than the top 5, but in this series you never know. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad, the position I'm in. So we'll try to maximize the last round, help Cooper secure the championship, and hopefully finish, yeah, like you said, in the top 5 would be a nice reward to finish off the season.
Well, congratulations, Diego. A 4th year with a Porsche Esports Supercup win. Let's step over, though, to your teammate, Florian Lebigra, who did look as though the tires were falling off a little bit at the end of the race. But Florian joins us after finishing in 3rd. Florian, talk us through that race from your perspective.
Well, the sprint went well. Did some moves to get the reverse pole position, so that was pretty nice. And then yeah, just didn't manage my tires very well in the feature, and got overtook by Diogo. I mean, I made a mistake. Diogo overtook me, and then same with Sebi, but that was more related with the tires.
Been a good season from you, Florian. 1 more round to go. We'll see you from Le Mans next week. Over to Sebastian Joe, making the move up to 2nd in those closing stages. But Sebastian, I mean, it's just been a season up and down, right? Good to start getting that momentum back on your side, albeit late in the campaign.
Yeah, season to get really. I'm just trying to get as high as I can now in the last 2 rounds. So nice result. Enjoyed prepping this week, driving in the rain. It's a nice track. But yeah, not a good season, so it's nice to get another good result, which is crazy to think after how round 2 and 3 went. But yeah, it just went really badly when it did go badly. So lots of points to be lost.
That's racing. Glad to hear at least, though, a bit more enjoyment in getting ready for this week with the rain. We'll see you next week from Le Mans for the championship showdown. On to Jordan Caruso, who, of course, got it done in qualifying, got it done at the start of the session, but then sprint race slightly more difficult. Jordan, talk us through the evening and the bit of contact as well with Gustavo that I think really was the turning point of the night.
Yeah, pretty frustrating, I can't lie. I think just having so many of the red line guys around, I felt like, I definitely made a few mistakes that I shouldn't have. I think I for sure should have won the sprint. But yeah, a few little mistakes, and I think, yeah, they capitalized. But overall, still decently happy. Just gonna need a big Le Mans.
It's 40 points between Jordan Caruso and Cooper Webster, who joins us now in the booth. Cooper, that was a difficult, I think, second race compared to the sprint race, at least given the pace that you showed us. But you're in the championship lead going into the final 2 races of the season. What more could you ask for? 40 points between you and former teammate Jordan Caruso.
Yeah, that is really good. And if you told me that at the start of the year, I'd be losing my shit. But no, that was a good race. It was very tricky in the wet. It's kind of weird when like one car's quicker than the other car, depending whether you're in a train or not. So yeah, it was very intense. I had a good battle with Luke and Alejandro, and then Tristan as well. But I just didn't have the pace in that race compared to the first race to move forward towards the train. But yeah, all in all, I was happy. All I wanted to do was keep the gap the same or extend it going into the last round to make it as easy as for me as possible.
Well, been a solid season so far. Just one more week to go, Cooper. Congratulations on another sprint race win, and we'll see you from Le Mans to wrap up this season.
Thank you, guys.
Super Cooper Duper Webster joins us for a chat as we wrap up things from Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, and apologies for any industrial language there from Cooper, but I think it's a little bit understandable given how it's gone tonight. Well, you've not got long to wait for the championship finale because it's just 1 week's time before we head to Le Mans, the longest race track of the season, and the big challenge for these drivers. The slipstream down the Mulsanne, the slipstream down towards Indianapolis. It's going to be a real challenge for these drivers, especially your championship protagonists, isn't it, Arjuna?
It is, and in seasons past we've had different formats in the final with double mains, extra points up for grabs, but no, this is a lot more simple. It's the same format, just a track that these drivers are going to have to deal with a different challenge. It's more like Talladega in many ways, Paul. We're expecting to be 3, maybe 4 wide, and hopefully a championship to be decided amongst all of that.
Well, you do not want to miss that. 12th of April, set that into your calendars at 1900 GMT. Let's take a look at the standings as they are coming out of this week. And, well, Cooper Webster, 40 points to the good ahead of Jordan Caruso. Mitchell de Jong mathematically has a chance, but I would say he's out of the championship running. But Luke McEwen, the 4th place, just ahead of Diogo Pinto and Tristan Iglesias and Sebastian Job. That's going to be quite an interesting fight for those positions in the top 5. That is for sure, with that big prize money to be paid out. Well, it's certainly been a thrill ride, Arjuna, but I think Cooper Webster he's not got a hand on the trophy, but he's got a good look at it nonetheless.
And he said it best, right? If you had given him this at the start of the season, he probably would have bit your arm off, Paul. The fight for our $200,000 prize pool has 2 more races left to go.
Well, I'm afraid that is all that we've got time for you here today. It's been a thrill ride here for the first wet race in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup history. Congratulations to Cooper Webster and Diogo Pinto on their wins. We'll see you in a week's time at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Until then, goodbye.